Okay friends, it's time to get started on our job. Let's make our way right up here to the mirror switch. For this, I'm going to carefully use a small flathead screwdriver. You want to get in between the door panel and the switch assembly itself. We'll just carefully press in there, and then we'll gently pry this out of position. Now once you have it popped out of there, you're going to have to grab onto this, and we're going to start tilting it downward like this to roll it out of position. Now let's make our way to the bottom of the switch. Right here, you're going to find an electrical connector. We're just going to carefully get in between this area, gently separate it, and go ahead and pull out the wiring. After you have it disconnected, just go ahead and take a peek. If you see any funny colors, it's probably corrosion and it would need to be dealt with. There it is, friends. Now to gain access to this, let's go ahead and use a plastic trim tool. We're going to carefully remove this lower panel right here. Wedge this in here, can pop that out of position. Go ahead and carefully slide that out. We'll give it a quick inspection. Continuing with our small trim tool, let's carefully get under this area. Just going to gently pop that up. Now for over on this area, you're actually going to have to come under here. There's a little tab. I'm just going to go ahead and press on that. I'm going to pull it towards the front of the door. As I'm doing that, I'm going to lift this up. There we are. Now we can go ahead and turn this over and we can start disconnecting our wiring harnesses. Pay attention to where each of them are. In case you forget, it's not a big deal because they are all a little different, so you really can't mix them up. For each of these, you're going to find a little rectangular tab, pretty much where my index finger is. You just want to go ahead and squeeze on that and then you can pull each of them out. Give it a quick inspection. Continue on. If you find that you can't squeeze them, you can also carefully pry. Just enough pressure to get it to break free. This one's a little bit harder to get to. It's right in this corner. Now that we have this out of the way, we can continue on to our 5.5mm screw. We'll set that aside. Moving along the bottom of the door panel, you're going to find two more 5.5mm screws. Go ahead and remove the pair. Okay, so at this point, we can continue on by carefully lifting up on the door panel. But before we do so, you want to make sure you pay attention to all of your wiring. Make sure as we're lifting this up and pulling it away from the door, you're not putting a tug on the wiring in any way. Let's go ahead and remove that door panel from the door. With the door panel out of the way, we can continue on right along this area. Let's carefully remove this weather barrier. We're going to be reusing it, so you want to make sure you don't damage it in any way. Now we can move along to the wiring. Right where my index finger is, you can tell that there's a little tab. You're going to want to squeeze that tab towards the wires and then go ahead and pull this off. Go ahead and give it a quick inspection. We can set that aside. Now we can move along to our three mounting nuts. One here, one right there, and one in this lower corner. To remove them, we're going to use an 11mm socket. Keep in mind, as you remove the last one, you're going to want to make sure you're holding onto that mirror. I'm going to loosen this one, but I'm going to leave it on a couple threads. Now I can fully remove the other two. There it is, friends. Before we can install our brand new mirror, have a look at the outside of your door. You want to make sure it's clean and free of any debris. All right, friends, now it's time to install our brand new mirror. Obviously, you want to make sure you have your insulator in place. Now we can go ahead and line it up with the door. Once you have it lined up, let's continue on to starting on all three of our mounting nuts, and then we'll snug them up. Make sure they're nice and tight. Reconnect in your mirror. Listen for a click. Make sure it's nice and tight. Let's get our weather barrier back on here. You want to make sure that this is lined up. There we are. Just go ahead and stick it on. Now it's time to install our door panel. Looking at the back side of it, you remember you had all the little hooks. Each one of those hooks needs to fit into its area on the door. Also, looking at the door, we have a lot of wiring. You want to make sure you have that in the proper positioning as we slide this into place. Let's go ahead and take the door panel and we're going to go ahead and put it up near the door. At the same time, I'm going to go ahead and grab onto the wiring and put it into its proper position. The three wires come up through here, and then also you need to make sure you grab onto that mirror wiring. Slide that right up through there. Now we'll just come up nice and high, slide it in while we're pressing it up against the door. We're going to try to line up all of our hooks. Once it feels as though they're slid in, you can go ahead and lock this down. Feel all the way around. You want to make sure it's completely situated up against the door. If it seems like it's pushed away, you might have missed one of the hooks. Assuming that feels good, let's continue on with our mounting bolt. Let's reconnect our wiring for the switches. The top is going to be green, then blue, then gray. Start with the lower one. Now we can bring this down in position and we're going to try to lock it in. Now we can reinstall this. Looking at the back side, you can see that we have several little push tabs. Let's go ahead and pull on that handle a little bit. We'll slide this into position. Now we can latch it in. Time to install the mirror switch. Let's go ahead and reconnect in the electrical connector. Listen for a click. Give it a tug. Now we're going to go ahead and start putting this in here. You remember when we removed it, we had to roll it a little bit. So let's start in that rolled position, aiming downward. We'll go ahead and slide it right in here. Carefully press it. Now we can start bringing it into the proper position and press it in. Make sure it's nice and secure. Okay, friends, we got our mirror installed. At this point, you're going to want to make sure that you go ahead and put the key in the on position. That's 2 clicks. After that, go ahead and come right over to your switch and make sure that the mirror functions properly. Thanks for watching.